Is that the motto? We change minds with mushrooms?
Exactly, yeah.
So before we go in, tell me who you are and where we are.
I'm Andrew Carter, co-founder and CEO of Smallhold. We're in beautiful Vernon, California, right outside of Los Angeles. And this is our farm here. We're growing some certified organic mushrooms. We have these farms kind of strategically located around the United States to access as many people as possible.
All right, well, let's go in and see what this one looks like.
Sure, let's do it. You have to gown up.
Of course we do.
Yeah, this is obviously a food production facility. Each of these are grow chambers that
So it's a room within a room, basically.
They're
We're in a huge
rooms,
warehouse. It's got a
many
bunch of little
huge-
rooms in it.
Yeah, so there are like 35 rooms in here. Each of them are controlled by this computer system that we developed over the years.
That you developed?
Yes, we developed in the house. It's patented. We call it FarmLink.
All
They're really
proprietary
fresh.
technology, right?
It's proprietary,
Right,
yeah. I
right.
mean, we like educating people how to grow. We like bringing people through, but these systems are controlled by this computer system that controls this big HVAC unit.
Gotcha.
We call this our kit. It sounds not that complicated,
No, it
but
sounds
when you're
pretty
trying
complicated.
when you're
I
trying
hear you.
to be efficient with resources and energy
Right.
and water, then you have to be really careful with that.
Right.
Here, let's go into one of these rooms.
Yeah, let's.
just go into here.
Because I'm going to need a, oh, wow.
Give you a primer.
I was just going to say, wow.
All of our mushrooms are grown on sawdust. And so this sawdust is a waste stream from the timber industry. Most of the time, sawdust ends up in plywood. It goes to compost sometimes. It goes to landfill, but we're diverting that. And so in here is lion's mane. This is...
What is lion's mane?
Lion's mane are these mushrooms
Oh,
here.
those kinds
These
of
are
mushrooms.
actually
Okay,
a
got
little
it.
young, but they're really popular for us.
Wow,
These in
we're getting
particular.
misted.
Yeah, we're getting a little misty
Wow,
in
that's
here.
all right. It's all good.
The mushrooms that we grow, they're called saprotrophic mushrooms, and so what's happening inside these is saprotrophic. They're digesters. And so the mycelium is this white stuff that you see inside the bag.
Right.
That's actually the living organism, and it's releasing enzymes and breaking down that sawdust. Eventually, it consumes enough of that food where it needs to reproduce. And once it goes through that reproductive process, that's the fruiting process, and that's what you eat. That's what a mushroom is.
Which explains why all these ones that actually have the mushrooms on the outside, all the inside is white, because that has now been consumed.
It's consumed, yeah. I
Right.
mean, we'll see some other ones where
Right.
the mycelium is a lot more prominent. But these mushrooms, these are kind of young at this point. But lion's mane in particular have these little spines that kind of form. And those are where the spores come from, which is part of the reproductive process. These will be mature in the next 2 to 3 days.
And you will harvest them and ship them off to whichever retailer
Grocery
or-
stores, restaurants. We don't do direct home delivery, but we
Right.
work with other sort of businesses that do
Right.
direct home delivery as well.
All right, we got to get out of here because I'm getting soaked by
It's
all this
okay,
mist.
yeah. Let's go to another room.
Yeah.
You want to go over here? Yeah. Yeah. So these
All right,
are
now
probably your more...
These look like mushrooms.
Yeah. So these are blue oyster mushrooms, very
Yep.
popular mushroom for
Yep.
us. They grow really rapidly.
This is so interesting. This just got here like a week ago, and there's already stuff growing off it.
It's really fast. Blue oysters are very fast. So like, trying to see a younger one. So this one will be like twice as big over the next day or two. Like you can literally watch it grow. Those little clusters will look like this in a couple days.
So, why mushrooms? How did this happen for you?
I've always been doing farming stuff. Not always, but I grew up in Los Angeles originally, moved to New York in 2009, and kind of was at the right place at the right time. There were a lot of people building greenhouses, and I helped a lot of people build lettuce production. That was what I was really into. And then started playing around with mushrooms. And initially it was just because I like growing stuff indoors. I think it's really important for our society to figure out how to grow stuff indoors because our ecosystem is changing and we need to figure out how to feed the future. But then once you start getting into mushrooms, then you start becoming obsessed with mushrooms. And that's like the whole thing
I
with
wish people
mushrooms.
could see your face right now because you're lighting
well,
up.
What I love about one of the many things I love about mushrooms is the effect that it has on people. Like anyone who knows a mushroom person knows how obsessed people can get with mushrooms, which make it like a really interesting product to grow and to sell. And we want to be the leader in high quality, sustainably produced mushrooms. This is where we pack out all of the mushrooms into our packages.
Oh yeah, look at that. California grown, small hold.
These are lion's mane.
And so this, like, maybe this morning or yesterday was in one of those rooms? Basically.
Yeah, probably today, honestly.
That's
Maybe
crazy.
today or yesterday, yeah.
What's this going to retail for? So
It
this
depends.
is what is it? 8 ounces of lion's mane mushroom.
Yeah.
What's it going to
It
cost?
depends on the store, but it's between $8.99 and $12.99.
That's
But
not nothing for mushrooms,
You know,
right?
it's not nothing, but it's also a pretty decent amount of mushrooms. Most mushrooms that you'll see is a 6 ounce or a 4 ounce clam.
Yeah.
It's definitely more expensive than button mushrooms.
Yeah, well, they've got
It's again,
scale, right?
again, the best comparison is like the lettuce industry. You have head lettuce, and then you have arugula or spring mix or any of
Right.
those, and ounce by ounce, those are extremely expensive
Right.
compared to head lettuce. But they're still big parts of the industry.
Let's get out of here. I'm freezing.
Yeah, let's
It is-
get out of here.
It's got to be like 40 degrees in here, right?
Yeah.
God. You mentioned Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Most mushrooms in this country come from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, the vast majority.
Like even
of
the
them.
ones out here?
Yeah, I mean, there's some big growers out on the West Coast, but the most of the mushrooms in the country come from Pennsylvania, and a lot of the ones that you'd find here are.
Why?
I think that they would say that it has to do with I think they were lucky in that they put it in a place that really makes sense for shipping, and so they're in an area called Kennet Township. It's outside of Philadelphia, but there's a bunch of routes that are there, and so you have access to a lot of cities. But the legend is that there were a bunch of entrepreneurial mushroom growers, essentially, when they were building Philadelphia, that had access to horse manure and started growing mushrooms. And they grew into these big companies. Some of them are family owned, some of them are private equity owned now. But they're just these massive businesses out there.
And they're just there.
They're
And
just
so
there.
they're
Yeah.
trying to
And
compete.
they started big canning operations, mainly to deal with excess mushrooms they had, which is why you're familiar with canned mushrooms.
Right.
It's less popular now, but it was a huge part of the industry in the starting ages
Right.
of it.
Right.
So it's changing. I mean, that's why we're really trying to have a distributed network of farms, because freshness and quality is really important there. Button mushrooms ship a lot better, and so that's why you can
Right.
kind of grow there and ship it really far
Right.
out.
Andrew, thanks a lot. Totally fascinating.
Thanks.
Totally fascinating.